I bet my life I'm a Diceshaker. Electric lights on a skyscraper.
Welcome to the Diceshaker podcast. My name is Jordan Brown. I'm the host of the Diceshaker podcast. With me, as always, is the man behind the scenes, Tyler Hartley. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jordan.
Okay, March Madness weekend one, rounds whatever 1 and 2 are done. What a slog. That 4 days felt like that took like 2 weeks. Like that is.
It's funny too, like watching this, gambling on it, and then after gambling, being like, oh, I knew nothing about these teams. Like,
Yeah,
it's just very stimulating.
It's exactly what we talked. It's exactly what we
Yeah.
talked about last week. Where it's like this time last week we knew nothing about these teams, knew nothing about these players, knew nothing about anything, and now for like 4 days you just like mainline college basketball.
There's guys I've already considered, like I hate now.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
people I
Yeah.
hate. There's
You've
teams
got
I hate.
that.
It's like,
Right, yeah,
know
you
nothing
fully
about
forward to
them.
pay, and that's what the beauty of this tournament is. That's what's the best about it, is that for 3 weeks you just get to fully immerse yourself in this world.
Yeah.
And then we're out again, and then like we don't have to pay attention again until because like if this was like your life all the time, this would be like incredibly exhausting, right? Like even at the end of a college football season, I feel exhausted.
Yeah.
So that's what's great about college basketball is it's like, well, it doesn't create, it's like the crazy chick where it's like, I couldn't live with this girl, but like
For a few weeks,
couple
sure,
weekends
yeah,
a year,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
You're tired after, but like,
I will say too, I do enjoy watching this. Like just to give you a contrast of like NBA, I think like NBA is boring, but I'm seeing more why it's boring too, because I'm like, oh yeah, because like it's boring because they'll secure every defensive board,
Right.
And like they'll
Yeah.
hit free throws consistently, and
Yeah.
like they won't just miss dunks on breakaway. Like
Right.
it's boring in that aspect because
Yeah.
they're so good.
yeah, I think that's right. So that's like one of the things you have to get adjusted to when like, so it's true in college football as well. But it's more true, I think, in college basketball, just because of the nature of basketball as a game, is that like you have to be the amount of different outcomes that are possible. Like the variance is higher when in this than in like the NFL or in the NBA, and so you might get like Clemson McNeese State. Clemson might just score 13 points in the first half.
Yeah.
like that's the thing that can happen, right? Same in like college football. I talk about all the time. Is like people sit here and try to break down these games, and like somebody might just fall down.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah,
you have to,
yeah.
right. So it adds that level of like that excitement, that like unpredictability, and that like that adds a little bit of volatility to each game that you don't get in the NBA, because the NBA, the volatility is really just like who's going to make their threes and who's not.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And that's pretty much how the game's going to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
decided. I think that's true too. And it's interesting because like the one thing I liked, so yes, it's definitely like you have to get adjusted to watching college basketball if you're used to the NBA. Because it is like a very different game, but it's interesting because that's always like that's been true for a long time, and the storyline or like the narrative when I was like growing up, when I was in high school and stuff, was always that like college basketball sucked because the games were so boring because there's so many missed shots and it was played at such a slow pace and the players weren't good, and this was like this was the mid 2010s, so this was like the height of the one and done era. Like anybody who was any good at basketball was gone after their first year. And so now, and everybody, that was also at the time of like explosion of the NBA, and they're, oh my God, look at all these threes, Steph Curry and the Warriors, all that stuff. And now it's kind of like come like around the other way, where the NBA game has become so optimized, like it's so clear what the best way to play is, that everybody plays that one way. But because you have that a lower talent, a talent pool that varies further from bottom to top, from top to bottom in college basketball, you now get a more interesting style of game because teams play different styles. Like some teams play really fast, some teams play really slow. Like Texas Tech, they shot 1,000,000 threes. They set a record for like 44 threes.
Yeah.
But they're the only team doing that. So it's like, it's interesting. And then you look at a team like Michigan State, who Michigan State just wants to like, they just catch it off the backboard or get it out of the hoop on makes and just go. Other teams like play at like a snail's pace because they just don't have that kind of talent. So you get these more interesting like stylistic matchups that you don't get in the NBA. I also think, I want to get to what you think about this too. I think the way the college game is officiated is more interesting.
Way more fun.
They allow way more contact, specifically at the rim.
Yeah.
Like out on the perimeter, they seem to still call it like relatively tight. But like if it seems to be that like if an offensive player is attacking the rim, they allow the defensive player to like truly like occupy his space. And like they understand that like contact is okay. Like just contact does not necessarily mean a foul. Whereas in the NBA, it feels like if you get touched going in the rim, it's gonna be a foul.
I think they just honor that whole like hand as a part of the ball rule, like
Yeah.
way more than the
Yeah.
NBA. The NBA will call. Like, I think it's also name stuff too. Like it's like if LeBron goes to the rim and he
Right.
misses, you're like, oh well, he probably got hit or whatever like
Right.
that. When you have these nobodies going up, it's like, yeah, well, you know, it's close enough. And like again, that hand is the ball rule. Like that's a rule in basketball, but like it's in college, it's very specific. Like it's like no, like even if you catch wrist, like I've seen a lot of rakes over the wrist, and they're like, yeah, you know, pretty much got the ball. And it's way more fun though, way better product to watch.
Right, and now I think too another part of it too is like definitely with the hand, like getting the stuff on the hand. I also think they allow play like it used to be a thing. I remember Roy Hibbert when he was on the Pacers back in like the early Paul George days. They would talk about it where verticality, where like it's not a foul if you jump straight up and he runs into you.
Yeah,
and they seem to allow that more in college. Now I think what's also interesting too is the only 5 fouls instead of 6.
Yep.
I think that creates some interesting strategy type stuff, and so I think that's a good thing to do. If you're gonna say we're gonna lighten the whistle a little bit and not call as many fouls, but 5 fouls and you're out the game.
Yeah,
I think that forces teams to play a little differently, play a little more, maybe not be so aggressive at defending the rim. Because the problem is, right, if you tell the NBA players, like, hey, you have less of a chance of getting a foul at the rim, what they're going to say is, okay, so shoot more threes.
Yeah,
which is not the outcome that the NBA necessarily wants right now, right? Like you want the mid range, and so maybe it's maybe you do in conjunction with moving the 3-point line or something like that. But I think whatever the NBA can do to promote different styles of play, similar to the way college basketball has now, and I think college basketball. It's gonna because like the problem before, like I said when I was a kid, was like they didn't think the talent pool wasn't there, because anybody who was players weren't getting paid, and so as soon as you had a chance to go to the NBA, everybody was gone. Guys would go overseas instead of coming back, And now it's like guys are staying because they're making money through NIL, and so the talent's a little bit better, and so now, but it's still not as good as the NBA. So now you're in this sweet spot that college football exists in, where it's like the players are bad enough, and there's a gap between the worst teams and the best teams. Or the worst players and the best players, to where like the craziness and the chaos is still possible, but also you can see like you get the bottom end of like some crazy wild bad shit might happen, but you also get the top end of like you might see some incredible shit.
Yep.
And that's a really great place for college basketball because that's the place college football lives. And then if you add in all the other advantages of college, the hatred and the rivalries and stuff like that, I think college basketball could be poised here in the next few years to like really like have a national resurgence. It's national like in America, not Canada.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. Like I mean, for one, like NBA not being as fun, so like people
right.
still
People
are
like, starving.
As I'm watching,
people
this,
want
like,
an alternative.
I want to watch ball now.
They
like,
want
it's
alternative.
Like, this is fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's not as good a product. The fouls thing that you're talking about, I think that could be like an example of players just aren't as good at drawing fouls either. So you're not going to see it. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, players going to the rim, like they understand so many different angles of how to like. Rip through. I've seen some rip through attempts and guys like missing arms.
But that's
basically.
why you need to change the NBA then, where it's like, okay, guys have just gotten too good at calling fouls. We have to change how we do this.
Well,
which they've attempted to do before.
Yes, they have tried to walk some things back and stuff too. But
to like
again,
the James Harden like insurance fraud.
We're
shit.
dealing with like the smartest guys though too. So
sure,
it's just way.
I'm not saying the game's gonna be exactly the same. Like when you get right, like you'll never make the NFL like college football.
Yeah,
but like the NFL took a lot of stuff from college football and to make the game more exciting.
Sure,
like turning like offensive concepts and stuff like that. And so I think that like it would require rules change in the NBA. But if the NBA could encourage diversity in style of play. Yeah. I also think the NBA should probably, and they are doing it obviously, like needs to add more teams. I think part of the problem in the NBA is like there's just too many good players on too many teams.
Yeah.
So like the teams are too close together. You need more bad teams. Or the chance to have like a really good team. They need to figure that out.
That is actually a good point because you have like the Wolves. I mean, like Wolves aren't like I'm not talking like necessarily like the records or whatever, but yeah, you have the Wolves, you have OKC, you have all these teams that are like really like fast paced and like they have a guy, but they play such team basketball and stuff like that.
Yeah, everybody just has star players, right?
Which is still fun, but yeah, you still need that like.
And that's why you look
at what's a team that was like when Golden State was really good.
That was the last. That was the last dynasty.
Yeah,
and like the NBA has been a league of dynasties, right? You can go all the way back to the '60s, right? And you can just dynasty. Teams win multiple times in a row all the time. Teams win, 3 in a row. Teams win, 4 out of 5, all that stuff. And then, since 2019 was the Raptors, 2020 was the Lakers, 2021 was the Bucks, 22 was the Nuggets, 23 was the Warriors, 24 was the Celtics. There hasn't
Yeah.
been a repeat in a long time, and which is similar to the NFL, who is also a league where like the talent gap is very, very small and it's very hard to repeat. Obviously, Chiefs being the exception. So I do think that like no, they cannot recreate it one for one, but it is. I think this weekend kind of shows that there is a demand for a different style of basketball, and college football has gone from being sort of laughed at for being that style to now that style done at a higher level is now I think going to be like has a chance to see a big rise in popularity, especially since like it's all connected, right? Like the NIL stuff and the fact that guys are going to stay in school for longer, and you can start to create these identities around teams for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I know, like they say, like, and we'll talk about it in a minute here, that like the transfer portal in basketball is just as bad as it is in college football in terms of like nobody stays anywhere for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
But there are still guys are at least staying in school rather than going pro or going wherever. So like you get like year after year, right? Like our guy Zakai Ziegler, whatever his name is, on Tennessee, where he's got this story now of like, you know, last year he hurt his knee, and like the year before that they lost, and like, you know, whereas like, you know, he probably would have been playing in Australia or some shit already before the NIL stuff, right? Before he could make money. So that's that. I think overall take on the tournament so far, I mean, I think the biggest storyline is the lack of upsets, the lack of madness. One of the most chalk opening weekends, I think probably ever. And I mean, like it wasn't it's not like I knew this, but it seemed logical to me when it was explained, because we've seen similar things. Football is that the NIL and the transfer portal has basically made it so that the mid-majors, the small schools, cannot keep guys on their teams. They all end up at the big programs, and that's why there's all the Sweet 16 teams are either from the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC for Duke, or the Big 10. Yeah, there's no small schools left, right? Like the lowest seed is Arkansas is at 10 seed, but still Arkansas. Yeah, still a big ass school with like a history and money, and John Calipari's their coach. Like they're not a plucky underdog. So what's interesting, like, because we've seen like we've seen in college football how it's like spread the talent more widely. Like we don't get these like Georgia super teams as much anymore. There's more teams at the top of college football that can compete. But we didn't notice, and I'm sure the gap between like the mid majors in college football and the big programs has grown. We just don't notice it or talk about it because it was already just in the way football works. Like before NIL, there was no world where Western Kentucky was ever beating Alabama. Yeah. No matter what it was. Before NIL, after NIL, that was never happening. Whereas in college basketball, before the NIL, there was a chance for mid-majors, because it's basketball and one player can affect the game so much. There's a chance for a lower school, for a team with way less talent to beat a way more talented team. In football, that's just not that's just not going to happen. Yeah. But like to see that in college basketball now, and I think that's what you see with like all of a sudden all these SEC teams are good. Like, yeah, right, we talked about that last week. The 14 SEC teams in the tournament, I think they've got 6 in the Sweet 16, including teams like Ole Miss, who has never been good at basketball. And so to me, that makes a lot of sense as to why that would happen, because in order to have a good college basketball program before NIL and the transfer portal, it took like effort, like work. You know, you had to build infrastructure to identify high school level players and scout them and recruit them and then develop them once they got to your program. And all these SEC schools, you know, they had the money to do that, but like not the will, not the effort, not to put that in place. And then once NIL and the transfer portal happens, it goes, oh, we don't have to do any of that. We can just in every offseason go, okay, who are the best players at the group of 5? All right, pay him. All right, here's our team for next year, right? And they just get ran through it. So I think that kind of gave an easy way for all of these big-time SEC schools who do care about sports, they just obviously care about football more, to be like, okay, well, it's only going to cost us $4 million to be good at basketball. Well, that's like one player for the football team. So let's just, okay, fine, here's your $4 million. Let's be kind of good. Yeah. And that's why you see these brands like Ole Miss, it's just never been good at basketball, and all of a sudden now they're in the Sweet 16. And so, look, I think people are upset about that a little bit. Like, there's definitely people who wanted upsets and buzzer beaters and stuff like that. But I think we talked about this last week, too. There's, like, a balance there. Yeah. You don't want it all, right? Like 2 years ago, it was FAU and San Diego State in the Final Four. That sucked. Yeah. Right? So, the upside of no upsets is that the matchups for this coming weekend are great. They're fantastic. And then if you project the matchups down the line into the Elite Eight and the Final Four, they're all great too.
Yeah.
And so if you have to pick between one, if we're either going to have no upsets or a lot of upsets, I would prefer no upsets. So I don't really have a problem.
I don't either. I think the Sweet 16 is like poised to be great.
Right.
I mean, it was fun at the start too. It's fun to see. Like, yeah, I think you're bang on with that.
Would you have preferred if there was like a if Colorado State had beat Maryland and they were in this as like?
No, that's what I mean. I think you're bang on with that. I think it was good that there wasn't that many upsets. Or
I could have
really
done with a little more.
upsets.
I think we could have had a couple. Like we had one buzzer beater. I would have liked more than that. And people immediately, as soon as they hated, people started saying it was a travel. So it's like you people would never be happy.
Yeah.
And like there's no like I would have liked like I said, Colorado State could have won. Or like having like one or two like that's crazy, that's cool, made it to the Sweet 16, let's see how far they can go. That's okay, because then you get like the David versus Goliath matchup. Still you get them against Duke or whoever. What we don't want is David versus David.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah. I mean, we're still going to have that. Basically, I don't know if you want to get into this yet, but like anyone who's playing Duke right now.
Duke's problem. Duke's
like,
an issue.
That's
Duke is an issue.
That's an NBA
Duke's
team.
an
I don't know
issue.
if you noticed, every team was like kind of like bad at closing games. Most teams, they would be up like 12, 14 points, and it would end like a 6-7 point game, and it'd be like kind of like, oh, it's getting close again at the end. Like they don't close, and then Duke is like just winning by like double digits every time.
Yeah, and I think the thing there is that, and it's like a thing that like in the NBA everybody has one of these guys, but in college not everybody does, is like there are teams who have guys who can get their own bucket and teams who can't.
Yeah.
And if you can't, then it's kind of like football, where it's like you got to be good at everything else then. If you don't have like the superstar quarterback who can just make shit happen, you got to be good. You got to be really good on defense. You got to rebound. You got to do all that stuff. And Duke has, it seems, multiples of those type of guys who, when all else fails, they can just say, give me the basketball and I'm going to go score. Which I think helps them close games because, there's not really any sort of... like, Cooper Flagg is so big and so athletic and so much more skilled than all these guys that, like, there's no scheme that's really going to matter here. So I think that's what makes, like...
He's just a tough guard. He's 6'9". He's fast.
Yeah.
Like, he's a pro. He's a pro-level player.
And you can see those guys... like, that. There was a guy in Wisconsin who almost got them past... who did they play? Why can't I think of it? Wisconsin played BYU. He almost got, and like it was like, okay, like that guy's out there like doing like NBA type things. But that's what makes it fun too. Is like not so like Tennessee, the team we're on, we do not have a guy like that. Like there's no one guy.
Don't.
We've got like 5 to 7 like really good players that all fit together and work together, and they play great defense. And if we just want, like, we can just get into that now. Like I think overall couldn't ask for more out of the first weekend out of the Vols.
No, they play they played good. They look nice. They're like an energetic team, fast, but like you said, they just don't. I don't have a guy that they like. I trust on that team. Lanier is a guy who can like actually like score a bucket for them. Like he can hit threes and shit. But like you said, he's not like a bucket getter. Like he's not gonna make that happen. He's got to come off screens. He's got to do shit.
And now I will say that like the teams above them, with the except like Duke's the only one where it's like Like I think the problem with Tennessee might run into here is they'll eventually get to a point where the other team has like bucket getters and then we have no bucket getters, and so the things that we like, the intangibles that with the defense and the rebounding and the tenacity that we play with. By the way, our coach is an old curmudgeon. I love that. He's like 70 and mad all the time. Love it. Perfect. Love the attitude of this team. Then we end up in a bad spot there where it just becomes a shot making contest and we just bring in a knife to a gunfight. But when I look at the teams above, like that, Duke definitely has that, and we need something to happen. I'm not gonna lie, we need something to happen to Duke. We don't root for injuries on this podcast, but like, listen, I would turn them off if I could, but I can't.
Yeah. Always the problem. Yeah.
Listen, it's unfortunate. You hate to see it. Yeah. You hate to see it, but if that were to happen necessarily, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Wouldn't be upsetting.
If you had bet the Vols to win the national championship and something were to happen to Duke's players, I'm just saying, like mathematically, if you were to look at it, just ask AI, like, was this good? Was this bad? It would say it was good.
It has no choice, too. Yeah,
it would say. Yeah. I'm not saying that. It would say that. So. But that's only for Duke. I look at like Auburn and Florida and Houston, and I'm like, well, they don't have like these like Florida does seem to have maybe a couple of those guys. That's kind of how they beat Connecticut, which that was I think maybe the best game of the opening weekend was Florida Connecticut.
Oh, of course,
Connecticut's coach is a psycho.
Well, I mean,
Dan Hurley.
He won 23 and 24,
2 in a row.
Right? Yeah, so
2 in a row.
He's definitely
this guy's
psycho.
out
of his mind.
Psychopath.
Yeah.
Do you see him after the game with what he said to Baylor as he was walking past that?
I did not see.
Oh yeah, okay. So this is a crazy story. It's kind of blown up now. So There's a video out, you can look it up, of Dan Hurley, the UConn coach, leaving, like going down the tunnel. And the next game, it truly feels like that's kind of what makes this kind of fun too. Is like it does feel almost like a little kid thing where it's like the teams are like the next game's teams are like sitting there waiting.
Yeah, like it's like like a basketball tournament.
Yeah. Like you would like when you're in
Yeah.
high school. Anyway, and he just says, I hope the refs don't fuck you like they fucked us, Baylor. I hope they don't do that to you. And so, anyways, people post like, "Oh, look at this crybaby." UConn's SID, so Sports Information Director, so basically the guy who's in charge of handling the relationships between the school's athletic program and the media. He goes up to the reporter that filmed it and posted it and said, "Hey, you got to take this down." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And the SID said, "I'll ruin your life." And this got caught, like people around heard it. Like he just openly, brazenly was like, "Yo, I'm going to ruin your life over this." And that got reported. And so now I don't know if this is 100% true because it was just started unfolding. I was coming in here. There's some people saying the FBI is going to investigate that. Into like this guy like threatened this man over this tape.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that stuff gets said all the time, but to catch it, it's like you can't get caught doing that.
That's it, right? And basically, I think at the UConn's argument is like, well, the reporter wasn't supposed to be filming where he was, and like he wasn't supposed to have his phone. He was in an unauthorized area, and it's like, yeah, okay, but like once he says that, you can't then just brazenly. And that's what I'm saying. Like this obviously this whole program are fucking psychos. It's like, hey, I need you to do me a favor and take that down. And I goes, listen, man, I'm a journalist. I can't do that. I goes, okay, cool. I'm gonna ruin your fucking life. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And so that kind of makes me like UConn a little bit. I wish I had known a little bit more about them before, because I'm like, that's the one thing I like that's going on in this, that college basketball seems to have in this tournament. College football is getting away from this more and more, is they still got their scumbags. Like Patino, obviously the Johnnies. That was good thing we didn't bet the Johnnies.
That's a heartbreaking one, yeah.
Good thing we didn't bet
Well,
the
because
Johnnies.
I did bet that personally. I put a few.
Sure, yeah, I was on that too.
Because
I was on that too.
Number,
They can't shoot at all.
Yeah, it wasn't even.
Holy.
There was just a bad game, honestly.
And we didn't. Again, this was where coming in, we didn't know as much. Arkansas's coach John Calipari, also all-time scumbag type guy. It was scumbag on scumbag. It was very, very neutralizing.
Scumbag on scumbag, and then lack
tough.
of talent on our aspect. So it's just
it's
tough.
a tough situation there where we kind of got out scumbagged a little bit. And then did you know Patino, his kid, is the coach in New Mexico?
Patino. Yeah.
He was being. Did you see that that got posted? Patino.
No, again, I didn't watch any of these post game stuff because it's just like
this is during the game.
During the game.
They showed it's just it doesn't have anything to do with basketball. You can look it up. They put up. I honestly put on the screen up the views. They showed Patino at his kid's game last night, and just with some chick with the biggest tits you've ever seen in your life. Not the biggest you've ever seen in your life, but great rack. And it's just like that's just great. That's just I love that he's never changed. Here, I can find it. Here it is. Yeah. That's him at the game.
That's Nick Patino.
That's Rick Pitino at his kid's game.
That's sick, man. Right there. That's his chick.
I don't know. It's just the chick who was like, she was there. Who knows?
That's so funny.
I'm not trying to say what's going on.
That is so like right on brand to what you're saying. He's like, yo, sit behind me.
Yeah.
2 seats, so it doesn't look like we're together,
Yeah.
but they know that you're with me.
What a guy. And so that's actually, so between him and Calipari is like, I've known a little bit about John Calipari because he was like the coach at Kentucky that got like all those, he's like from John Wall and all the way through, got all those dudes kind of drafted. So I was aware of Calipari, and he's just like, he's not like Patino's like the kind of scumbag that's like, he's a real life scumbag. Like he's like, like destroying families and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a Calipari to me just seems like, I'm like, oh, this guy just gives me like such like car salesman energy, where it's like, oh, like he talks a lot and really fast and says nothing, like just absolute mumbo jumbo nonsense. Like they asked him after the game. So Arkansas, their first win was like infuriating because they were trying to inbound the ball. They like weren't running sets. The other team was running a zone. They kept fucked up, kept getting turned over. Anyway, they're up like 2 no, they're up 3. And they're trying to inbound the ball under their own basket. The inbounder doesn't know you can run the baseline. So he's just standing still the entire time. They try to inbound it once, doesn't work. Timeout.
Yeah.
All right, draw it up again. Go back, try it again. Guy still doesn't move. Can't get in. Timeout 2. All right. Do it a third time. Still doesn't move. Call a timeout again. 3 timeouts. 3
So
timeouts.
they've used all their timeouts.
And the 4th time
Yeah.
we've drawn this up.
Yeah.
We've drawn this inbounds play up 4 times. On the fourth time, they actually do something kind of cool I didn't know you could do. A guy who's on the court runs out of bounds, catches a sideways bounce pass from the inbounder, and then he inbounds it.
Funny.
I didn't know that's legal. You could do that.
Yeah, because you haven't technically inbound the ball.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious though that they were like, all right, you're not gonna run. We're gonna bring someone else in. Yeah, no.
So, and then like they didn't. Then they're up 3, and like people saying like foul when they're up 3, so they can only shoot 2, and they didn't. And they go to Calipari after the game to do like the post game or whatever, and he's just like I forget what he says. He goes, we should have fouled. We didn't. I don't know. We didn't tell him to. And it's like, with the inbounds thing, it's like, I don't care. I don't care if it takes us 4 times to do it as long as we get it done. And I'm like, what a sick move that is to be like, hey, I've decided it doesn't matter if I do my job. Hey, guess what? Like, what kind of nonsense is that? Where it's like, I don't care. It's like, yeah, no, there was a lot of bad coaching shit going on out there, but like we won, so it doesn't matter. It's like, what a great way. Like, if you imagine just being a boss of an organization, just walking into the office and being like, hey, so new policy around here. I'm never coming. I'm never showing up. I'm not going to do my job. Everybody else keep doing your job, but I've decided that it's not important if I do my job. It's like, what a sick move.
Yeah, no, just exalt all accountability. That's great.
Yeah, just immediately be like, nothing that I'm responsible for matters.
I've seen a couple of coaches like that actually. I forget who the coach was, but he had the same energy of like, there was a play that got fucked up. And the coach and the girl's like, what happened there? And he's like, well, we were supposed to pick up and double team at half, but they didn't. He goes, sometimes coaching's not easy, and walks back to his huddle.
Yeah.
I was like, bro,
Listen,
just throw everyone under the
yeah,
bus.
there's some of that.
Because they still have a job that they obviously are like, I got to keep my like credibility and stuff like that, right? Way more important. They don't have like these salary. I don't know if they have these contracts as like ingrained as NBA or whatever, but like, yeah, it's just hilarious to see that because like they're still trying to make a face.
And that's the scumbag car salesman thing about Calipari, where it's like, all right, like you clearly fucked up multiple times. And then his immediate response is just immediately, nope, wasn't my fault. Blame somebody else. Couldn't possibly be me. Like, no. We won. It doesn't matter. Like, it's like, oh man, what a way to get around like any sort of accountability there. So, the Sweet 16 is set, as we talked about. There are very good games all throughout. I think the best game, unquestionably, is going to be Kentucky-Tennessee.
I think so
Friday
too.
night,
honestly, yeah.
Friday night, it obviously the stakes, the best of college sports, which is where you get the stakes and the hatred. Like Tennessee and Kentucky, hated rivals for a long time. 2 fan bases that truly have nothing going for them. But obviously, we have the Tennessee future. We've adopted them as our team this tournament, so now we hate Kentucky for this week. So. In order to do that, first of all, Tyler, have you ever been to Kentucky?
Never been to Kentucky.
I have been to Kentucky. You know what's great about Kentucky?
I want to say nothing.
Nothing's great about Kentucky.
That's where you're going with that.
Nothing's great about Kentucky. It's truly awful. I went and played a high school football game in a town called Paintsville, Kentucky. There were no bars in the town. We hung out in a Walmart parking lot all night. The Wendy's charged the black kids more than the white kids. All right, so that's my experience in Kentucky. Yeah, true. Now listen. So I got to doing some hate research on the University of Kentucky, and it's hard to do on a school like Kentucky because this is an athletic department that truly has accomplished nothing.
Yeah,
it's truly like irrelevant in football since the dawn of man. And I talked about is like one of like the blue bloods in college basketball. But if you look into it, they really haven't done much since like black people were allowed to play. Now, speaking of that, I'm just gonna hit you with some stuff here. So, what year do you think that Kentucky allowed its first black player on its team?
I'm gonna say 1990.
Okay, that's crazy.
That's crazy? Okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah. No, it is crazy. I was just hoping.
1969.
1969.
It's the first time they let...
that makes more sense, actually.
Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in like 1948.
Yeah.
Let me see. When did Jackie Robinson break the color barrier?
So they were still holding out, though, nonetheless. They were like, I don't know yet.
Bro, hold on. I'll tell you right now how long this took them.
Honestly, makes sense, too. Modern. Post 2000, they were charging black guys more at Wendy's, so that makes sense.
Okay, so Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947. It took 22 more years for Kentucky to put a black player on its basketball team. Mm-hmm. That is an elite level of racism.
Yep.
That is, God, these people hate black people.
Really stubborn, as you're seeing what they're doing, too, and you're just like, no, not us. We don't like
and that's why. And that's why when you go through their history, it's very similar. Texas football is like this, too. You go through their history, it's like, you guys claim a lot of wins before segregation, not a lot of them afterwards. Mm-hmm. And it's because they're so racist that they actively hurt hurt their teams by not allowing black players. You ever seen that? There's a movie, I believe it was called Road to Glory. It was about the Texas Southern.
You mean Glory Road?
Glory Road.
Yes.
Glory Road.
Yeah.
Road to Glory is a game mode in NCAA football. Glory Road. So you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
So it's about Texas Southern, all the black players playing all the white players.
Yeah,
Do you know
I
who they
remember.
played in the national championship, had all the white players?
I don't remember.
Kentucky.
Was it Kentucky?
Yeah, it was Kentucky.
Okay, that
it
makes
was
sense.
Kentucky. Kentucky are the bad guys in that movie.
Yeah.
Here's another just fun fact about the University of Kentucky. So their coach in that game was this guy, Coach Rupp, who the arena, he's their legendary coach. The arena they play in is called Rupp Arena. So they obviously love this guy. He's very important to their school. They really embody everything that he stood for. Do you want to guess what his first name was?
Mike? I don't know.
How about Adolf?
No, it was.
Swear to God!
Shut the fuck
Swear
up.
to God! Adolf Rupp.
I was going for just a generic white
Nope.
guy, but no, it's exactly what you think it was.
It's what you think. It's the worst case scenario. It's the worst possible choice. So again, that's just that's just my research. That's just the fact. I'm not making a judgment call on the people of Kentucky. I'm just saying the facts would tell you that they're poor, dumb, and racist. That's just what the numbers said.
Sure.
That's not my opinion. Again, that's just again. If you were to ask the AI and be like, hey, poorest, dumbest, most racist people on the planet, where do they live? Kentucky. That's just where we're at.
At least in Mount Rushmore.
So people out there, when you're thinking about who we're supporting this, we're gonna be a great game Friday night, probably the best game of the tournament, or best game of the tournament so far. Are we gonna be on Kentucky? Or are we gonna be on Tennessee? Think about how one side has a 5'7" point guard who's been through incredible hardship. He got hurt in the NCAA tournament when people thought they were going to have a chance at winning. Overcome that. First of all, do you know how much you have to overcome to be a 5'7" point guard in Division I college?
Yeah.
So much. And then his mom's house burned down. He put his NIL money together to bring her to Knoxville, Tennessee, and to support her the way she supported him growing up as a single mother. You're going to have that on one side, and on the other side, you have a guy named Adolf.
Yeah.
So that's just make your decisions on that. Just however you guys want it, whoever you choose to support this, whoever you think deserves to win. Refs, if you're paying attention, who have NCAA officials, people at books who are influencing these things. Just want to again, just 5'7" point guard, mom house burned down. Adolf. That's just what we got this week.
Pretty simple.
All right. You got anything else on March Madness before we get into a little bit of Tiger stuff here?
Yeah, we can get into the Tiger stuff in a second.
Do you have anything on March Madness?
I just want to make a quick note that I messaged you before. I officially hate Ian Shiflin, though.
Who's he?
He played on Clemson.
Clemson. That was a tough one.
Big motherfucker.
13
on
points
Clemson.
in the first half.
Yeah, just watching a guy that's like big, fat, slow, you'd expect to be like a bruiser. And I'm pretty sure he was responsible for 50 points against him. Like, he just backed down, missing rebounds, had 1 point in 36 minutes.
I remember I checked the stat line when you text me about him.
Yeah.
I think he had 0 point, maybe 1 point in 32 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to do.
Well, honestly, too, the fact that they weren't pulling him off the court,
Yeah.
too, I was just
They
like,
said
what?
nothing else.
I guess, like, so I did look at this. He has been a guy for them that's been like reliable over the season. So it's just one game again. Like, we're just catching up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I the whole time watching him, I was like, how is this guy a basketball player?
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you not quit? Basically, I mean, he's not gonna quit.
Yeah.
Like, why would he?
Yeah.
It's the best time of his life.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
That was tough.
All of Texas A&M also hate. I had plus 12.5 on that game. They're up 11. Guys going in for a breakaway dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It, again, makes it very fun, but when you're betting on it, it's like, I hate this sport.
You know who
I
I
hate
ended
these
up?
guys.
You know who I ended up hating, and everybody kind of turned on a little bit. So when you had Clemson, they lost to McNeese State.
Yeah.
Their manager, that Amir Khan dude, had gone pretty viral heading into that game because they do the walk-in where he's got the boom, which by the way, and they're not the only ones to do this, but like they stole this from the Niners. But like by the way, like that's not they didn't come up with that. Like that Debo and Trent Williams and those guys started doing that like 2 or 3 years ago with the boombox walking out.
Yeah.
Honestly, a bunch of guys do it. But hey, this guy looks like a nerd, whatever, brown guy named Amir Khan, but he's rapping along to the Kodak songs. Like, that's kind of funny. It's McNeese State. And then McNeese won. And it's like, all right, cool. That's a good March Madness story. And then the narrative turned on this kid so quickly. Within 24 hours, the internet had decided they were sick of this fucking guy, and for good reason. Number one, and this isn't the reason to hate him, but what's just interesting. Did you hear him talk?
No.
Yo, he does not sound like a guy named Amir Khan you would think sounds. It sounds like a guy who has grown up around black people. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, an Indian guy, because he's like Indian, right?
Your name Amir Khan.
Yeah, so like
But
when you
that's
hear
not
them
what he
talk,
sounds
when
like.
you hear them talk white, you're like, oh, he's integrated. When you hear them talk black, that's like alarming. You're
like-
how did you learn that?
Well, yeah, it's like a cat barking. It's like, that was just so unexpected. So anyways, that's that. But then So he just became like, he's out there in the tracksuit before the game with like aura on the back. Like that's kind of annoying. Like he just started to get into it. They had a thing. I think somebody ripped their jersey and he wasn't the one to go deal with it. There was like some assistant manager that went and dealt with it. And it's like, oh, this guy's like way too into himself now. This guy's not even doing the job anymore. And then it comes out after the game so that their coach, Will Wade, McNeese State's coach, Will Wade, he's going to North Carolina State. He's fucking taking this kid with him as like a grad assistant. This kid's got a 6-figure NIL deal.
Yeah.
But it started, it's like, hold on, like, no, the thing was he was a joke. Now he's like, he's not actually cool. It was funny that he was acting cool. He's not actually cool.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the Hawk Tua sort of shit.
Exactly.
Where it's just
Sick of
like,
this kid.
oh yeah, like it was funny, and now we're gonna make a career.
Exactly.
Out of this.
So I was happy. I was happy that they lost, and I will be rooting against NC State next year because I don't like that kid.
That's so funny how fast that flips on him though.
Yeah, one day. It was literally one day.
It makes sense though too. Starts
when
as
he
an
didn't
underdog,
fix the jersey, when he was like, "Oh, this guy's too good to actually do his just guys to slow up an influencer now. I don't have to. I don't know if you heard. I don't shine shoes anymore." It's like, fuck yourself, buddy. No, this is. Like, you gotta understand what being like what March Madness famous is like we only care about you for these couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So like you can't start acting like, oh, now I'm gonna have some fucking media career. Like, brother, no, we're gonna forget about you. Enjoy what you've got right now and be grateful for it. Don't get out here in the Aura tracksuit and then not fix the fucking jersey during the game.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah. All right. Anything else on the tournament?
No, that's it. That's all.
I feel like I had one thing I wanted to talk about. Maybe that was it. All right. Anyway, all right. We'll be back in a second. Quick break, and then we gotta address something that Tiger did. All right, we are back. So Tiger Woods. I will start with, I guess, the official news. Like, he blew his Achilles again or something. He's hurt again. I think anybody who pays attention to Tiger's career and Tiger the golfer has understood that, like, his time as a peak competitive golfer has long been over. And now the only hope I hold out for him is that he will play on the Champions Tour in a few years and just start decapitating old dudes. Yeah. That I think would be incredible. That would be awesome to watch. However, his personal life. So people have probably seen it by now. Last night, Sunday, at exactly 7:00, Tiger Woods tweeted out, a picture of him and two pictures of him and Vanessa Trump. So Vanessa Trump is the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr. So it would be Donald Trump's ex-daughter-in-law, I guess is how that would work. Her daughter is Kai Trump, who is an elite women's junior golfer. Charlie Woods, obviously up there with the young junior men's golfers. They all live in Florida, so I'm sure that's how they know each other. So he decided to post two pictures of himself and Vanessa Trump to announce that they are dating. For some reason, he felt the need to announce. I guess it had been talked about in the media, TMZ, like some rumors and stuff for a little while. But just seems like, Tiger, nobody cares, man. Like, you didn't need to, like, such an own goal of like nobody needed this announcement. Nobody cares really. But since you did it in this way, and I'll read the caption of it, but since you did it in this way, you've just created opportunities for people to dunk on you. Yeah. Which is Tiger's so funny to me because when you like within the golf world, and so I would say the sports, definitely like the sports world and really in the golf world, Tiger is like, true, like, and this gets thrown around a lot, but he's one of the few it's accurate for. Is like truly treated like a god, like truly, especially in golf. Like every single player, every single media member, anybody who's around the game, like he is truly held to a higher regard than any living person is. If he wants to play, like they throw qualifying, they put a special rule in so that he could qualify to play in these signature events that nobody else bet, and nobody has a problem with it. Everybody understands that he deserves that. So he's held in such high regard, and in sports, he's truly one of the most famous, dominant athletes of his generation and of the last, you could probably say, 100 years. That's how he's held in sports world. But like the public, like just the general like pop culture view of Tiger Woods is like he's a joke, like he's a punchline. And and it's stuff like this that like he is just like giving ammo to those people.
He is like a cheesy guy.
Oh,
You know what I
he's
mean?
an
Like, when you,
absolute
like
cornball.
he's a classic
Right, and
like
so-
legend of sports.
100%.
Yeah.
But he is like, yeah, it's an absolute cornball. And this caption, so we've got to, people are probably screaming that I'm not explaining it. So the caption, he posted 2 photos.
Oh, the photo's up.
The photo's up. You guys can see it. I'll read the caption. Love is in the air and life is better with you by my side! Exclamation mark. We look forward to our journey through life together. At this time, we would appreciate privacy for all those close to our hearts. So I want to start with the caption, then we'll get into the pictures.
Yeah.
First of all, announcing that you are dating a member of the ruling family in America, and then being like, but I want privacy, is on its face just crazy. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's contradicting, right?
It's like, that's what I'm saying.
Don't
It's
post
like,
it. Yeah,
shut
absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's that. And now I love how for like he's talking, the audience changes. It's 3 sentences, and I think the audience of the tweet changes 3 times. Love is in the air and life is better with you by my side. Clearly talking to her.
Clearly talking to her.
What does that have to do with us? Why is that in the tweet?
Yeah, just okay, yeah. Showing appreciation.
We look forward to our journey through life together. So now he's talking as like both of them.
Yeah.
Which okay. And also like again, like I like Tiger. I don't, I like big fan. Just with your history, brother, you probably shouldn't be making big declarations about like journeying through life together and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Like,
yeah.
Like a lot of Denny's waitresses out there. Tiger,
Absolutely.
that you haven't met.
Just
yet,
going.
that
I
you
wasn't going to go
haven't met
Denny's,
yet.
but absolutely, yeah.
At this time, we would appreciate privacy for all those close to our hearts. What the fuck does that mean? Does that mean like, hey, don't ask Donald Trump about it? Like, because people are gonna ask.
I think so.
Like,
I think so.
You can't like who out there and like with just the way the political climate is and how people feel about Trump, like whether you love him or hate him or whatever. It's like who's gonna be like, hey, this is out of bounds. We can't talk about this. Like, brother, they're gonna bring this up. So that's just insane. Now I want to talk about the actual contents of the pictures a little bit here and what makes what I really like about them. Some things that really thrill and delight me in this photo. First of all, I think just in both photos, just the product placement I think is the first thing that I really like. 2 photos, we get 3 different Sunday red pieces included. So that's nice work from the cat there. We get the untucked polo.
Yeah.
In the first one, which is, am I just supposed to believe does Tiger Woods just wear golf shirts like every day?
Well, he probably has so many.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, it's his brand, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to the next one. We're in the hammock, which by the way, hammock's overrated. We've got the Sunday red hoodie with the Sunday. Oh no, you know what? I thought the sunglasses were Sunday red, but the maybe they are. Is that the logo on the arm of the sunglasses? That is the logo. That's for Tiger, you dirty dog. Look at you. You got another one in there. So that's 4 pieces of product placed within 2 pictures.
This is more of a commercial than anything.
From the man who brought you the Monster Energy golf bag. Just excellent. Like just to his core is like, by the way, I'm like there's nothing I won't sell, which is fantastic from Tiger there. So back to the first photo. First of all, my man, and this is to be expected. I mean, we know nothing less. Like he's jacked in this photo for sure. I think good chance Tiger's on PEDs.
Definitely.
You got to think,
also
right?
with the massive injuries he's had to
That's
come
what I'm
back
saying.
and stuff.
That's what I'm
he's
saying.
not back, but obviously.
And I don't think they're not testing golfers, are they?
I actually I've never known. I've never heard of it.
If they're testing golfers, stop.
There was a massive.
Let's let these guys get crazy.
I think the biggest one is the body change within Bryson DeChambeau.
Right.
From when he was young to now. Like he's jacked. And
right. So what was that? That was some HGH or something.
Nobody said. People knew. People talked about it in the golf.
He did that during COVID. He just went away and then came back 60 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And he said he was just eating a lot, which I'm sure he was.
Yeah, of course he was. Probably working out.
He's probably on the Mexican supplements too. It's
Absolutely.
Fine. Which again, for golf,
hit the ball 500 yards. I don't care.
Well, yeah. Listen, we got to roll. We got to roll back the ball. We're rolling back the balls. They want to roll back the drive. I think we can meet in the middle here. Maybe,
yeah.
Right. The players don't want the ball to be rolled back. They don't want the drive to be rolled back. What if we did that? But if you guys want, you guys go down to Tijuana whenever you want.
And nobody's going to say things.
We're not asking. We're gonna put an event. We're gonna have an event every year, the Tijuana Open, and and just Monday through Wednesday is up to you guys.
They test to see if you are on steroids to make sure.
Yeah,
you're not coming in here just fucking natural.
We just don't know if you saw the booth in the clubhouse or not. So we just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So that's great. So the boy's looking jacked, which is nice to see. The hairline, Tiger's hairline's really gone back and forth. That to me looks like he has been to Turkey recently, and we're waiting for it to come in a little bit. I don't know if that's maybe that's why he waited to announce this. They date for a couple weeks. He's like,
it looks a little
we could have done
a little drawn in.
It feels like they're very much at their kid's high school graduation.
This does. Well,
Yeah.
obviously because she's way younger too, right? So it's, This is
and we'll get into her in a minute. I'm not going to comment too much on her in the photos because we'll get canceled. But we're going to talk about her in a minute. I've got some stuff. And then the next photo. So this is the one where does Tiger look dead in the second photo a little bit?
Weekend at Bernie's type shit.
Like a little bit of like, did
drugged.
she like? And now that just makes you sort of speculate what's really going on here. It was like, well, like, whose idea was this picture? Is what I'd like.
Well,
to
I
know.
think it's the same question as Bill Belichick. Yeah, whose idea was this photo?
Yeah.
It's actually hard to say. You want to say it wasn't Tiger, but like then you point out the product placement. And it's like it feels like Tiger did this, manipulated her, and think it's a cool photo. It's actually just to show a good side of Tiger brand.
Well, I think, or it could be that. It could also be the other way where it's like, hey, she's like, hey, we need to post photos. Probably because let's be honest, Tiger Woods, player, Hall of Fame level player, like his phone was blowing up after this, being a lot of what the fuck texts, a lot of like, oh, didn't know you had a girlfriend text. So I think she understands the game who she's getting involved with, and what that phone is capable of, and she needed to send. I think she probably was like, hey, we're drawing the line here at like we need to make this public kind of thing. And then he was like, okay, well, this would be a really great place for me to like pump some Sunday Red merch. Yeah. Let me make sure, do we have the sunglasses? We do have the sunglasses. Sick. Give me those. You have to wear sunglasses too. So that's that. Very clearly doesn't know what to do with his hand. I think we can. The right hand there is, I guess would be his left hand.
Which I'll give him this. Like, who does really know what to do with your hand when you're cuddling with a girl? Like, you know,
and a hammock is hammocks.
It's a candid shot.
I don't want to do this because PMT did it, and so obviously we'd just be ripping them off. But hammocks suck. Hammocks in generally like they're uncomfortable. You got to balance the whole time. Two people is tough to manage.
I will say this looks like a nice hammock though. This doesn't look like your normal.
No, I'm sure it's great.
Kid like tying it.
And then I was really like I was getting right into the reflection in his sunglasses. I just want to know who took this picture.
Well, I mean, any number of people that are probably on his staff at his house or whatever this is all the time.
None of those people are his friends.
Could have also just been this chick. Being
I think that's also too what this is evidence of here is like he doesn't have any friends.
I don't.
Nobody told him. No, like
you don't have time for friends when you're Tiger Woods, man.
You have time now. You don't play anymore.
Well, he's still playing. He's still doing shit.
We just blew his Achilles again, buddy. You're gonna be in the house for 18 months. You have time.
True.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like stop. Like listen, he's clearly got time. He's out here knocking down Vanessa Trump. He's clearly got time.
Is what I mean, this is it's multitasking. He's like, yeah, we'll take pictures, but I'm gonna sell a bunch of fucking merch doing this too.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is. Is like she's like, hey, we're posting pictures so that all the fucking Denny's waitresses stop texting you. Yeah, and then he's like, all right, well, we're fucking Sunday, we're fucking selling.
We gotta understand that's a big loss for me, so I gotta do something.
That's what I'm saying. Compromise here is like, we are turning this into a photo shoot for my brand. Yeah. Last thing to touch on here is it is the return of the Tiger goatee.
Goatee Tiger sick.
Goatee Tiger sick. Never won anything with a goatee, I'm pretty sure. But it does, and again, just reminiscent of the other, like, just massive own goal in Tiger social media history, which is the Mac Daddy Santa post.
Yes, yeah. Next picture.
So the Mac Daddy Santa post, very famous Tiger post. I believe posted this in 2002. It is Tiger Woods with a goatee, dyed his beard. What's very funny about this is so he posted this for Christmas, and then I think the next week or the week after was the Hero Classic, the one where they go to the Bahamas and they like play with like their kids and stuff, and he still had the grain. Oh, you know what it was? No, sorry, he was playing with Obama. It came out after this. He was playing golf with Obama like a week later, and he still had the gray in his beard from the Mac Daddy Santa photo. Yeah. Which that's sick. And so that's just having the goatee back just reminds me of that classic like Tiger Woods posting the Mac Daddy Santa. So again, I've never, like, I'm thrilled he posted this. Like, I'm fascinated by these photos. But I've never seen an athlete just mismanage their public image so badly. And not even in, like, obviously, like, all the stuff he's been through. Like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, Tiger Woods was literally like, hey, you know how you guys have just been dunking on me for 15 years? Well, it's gotten a little quiet around here. So here's another one. I'm just going to announce I'm dating Vanessa Trump, and I'm going to post the weirdest photos ever. And it's going to be nobody even accused him of this caption being AI because AI couldn't write that.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah.
Tiger is a one of one. Like, oh, that's what happens to you when you spend your entire childhood playing a solo sport and then you're like isolated from society because you're so good at it. You're so rich, so powerful. It's like, that's just a very weird. Yeah,
just a lot of guys saying yes to you all the time. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Also, too, I mean, like, I think we have to touch on this too, just because we had Bill Belichick do this recently. Is this a pattern now? Do we have to keep an eye on like one more of like our GOATs posting these kind of lovey-dovey. Is this a thing now that goats do?
Well, Tiger, but the thing with Tiger and Bill too is like the thing that you can't like. We're gonna jump down their throat for doing this thing, but it is like they are on top of being like Hall of Fame level talent. They are like Hall of Fame level cocksmen as well. Like they've been out in these streets for a long time, and so I don't know if this is necessarily like I think. Like, this isn't that out of character for Tiger, because Tiger's a cornball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tiger being in a committed relationship is out of character. That's not really his bag. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's just, and again, that's why my advice to Tiger in that caption was, he was like, excited for our journey through life together. It's like, well, why don't you be excited for your journey through the next month?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we do the journey through April first, and then we'll see where we get, you know? With Bill, it's more just that, like Bill's thing was always I'm like his football career was like devoid of emotion. He's like, I make everything based on like what the best football move is, and at no chance is the best football move to take that picture on the beach.
Yeah.
So that's just where it's like, oh, like the guy isn't the guy anymore. This is kind of Tiger's always kind of been this cornball type guy.
Yeah.
Again, the Mac Daddy Santa post was of his own accord as well, right? So it's like he's that kind of guy. So it's like I don't know. I just like, again, it's like whatever. Tiger, like I'm like the way the. It like nobody's had a career like Tiger's where like it was an absolute rocket ship to the top of the mountain and then just like public embarrassment and tragedy for 15 years.
I know, it's crazy.
Like to the point again, and like within golf, he has achieved a status within sports and golf that like is truly like it is him, it is Michael Jordan, and I would say even Michael Jordan's more haters than Tiger Woods, and like guys like Muhammad Ali and like the pantheon of like American sports.
Yeah.
He is 100% in that. And then outside of, he's just an absolute joke to like regular populations. Very funny to me. All right, last thing on this, and we're gonna get out of here. So this is, I didn't tell you about this because I want to get your honest reaction to what I've got here. So this has been floating around. This is the Wikipedia page for Vanessa Trump. Okay. This is the person, you know, on Wikipedia, there's sections. This is what's under her personal life section. I'm just gonna read it to you, and we're just gonna it's something. All right, so this is how it goes. This is just word for word. During her teenage years, Vanessa dated local street gangster Valentin Riviera, member of the violent gang Latin Kings. In 1998, Vanessa was linked with American actor Leonardo DiCaprio.
Makes sense.
Okay, so
that
now
makes
we're doing better.
sense.
Now we're doing better.
Yeah.
Now we're doing better.
Okay.
All right. Well, also from 1998 to 2001, Vanessa dated Saudi Prince Khalid bin Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud. That relationship did actually end in 2001 when that guy's dad, who was the ambassador from Saudi Arabia, was suspected of having ties to the Al Qaeda hijackers.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
She just didn't know.
Well, that's
she just didn't know.
So just to recap,
yeah.
Just to recap the personal life so far. Dated Latin King, dated Leo, dated guy whose dad may have done 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's right.
High standards.
Now, on November 12, 2005, Vanessa married Donald Trump Jr. The service was officiated by his aunt. Donald Trump Jr. had proposed to her with a $100,000 ring that he had received for free in exchange for proposing to her in front of paparazzi outside of the jeweler store, which was located inside a strip mall in New Jersey. That's the personal life section of Vanessa Trump on Wikipedia.
So nothing really about her.
Nope, but like
right?
again,
like she's just
Latin
got
King,
yeah,
Leo, guy whose dad might have did 9/11, Donald Trump Jr. Got an engagement, got proposed to outside of a strip mall in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, all royalty.
Yeah,
Really,
in their own
right?
way. In their own way.
Right? Like all
the one guy
kings.
was a Latin king.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was by definition a king.
Yeah.
The other guy, yeah, very well connected. Again, might have done, maybe did it. We don't know for sure, but again, that is tough where it's like, hey, look, I'm going to have to go back for a while. She's like, oh, okay, when are you coming back? Like, probably not. Probably for a while.
Probably not gonna go back.
I don't know. I think we're gonna be at war.
I don't think I'm allowed to come back.
Anyway, so yeah, no, you want to come get your stuff? You got to come get it like today.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's gone. It's just gone.
All right, man. So that is this episode of the Diceshaker podcast. Thank you all for listening. Rate us, review us, like, subscribe, watch on YouTube, tell your friends. We will be back next week. We will have reactions to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. And we're going to talk a little baseball next week. We're going to have a special guest who's going to join us.
Oh, yes.
Get us ready for opening day. Opening day is actually this week, but, nobody's got time to care about baseball until like May. So we're going to talk baseball next week. Masters coming up. So some exciting stuff coming up we're excited to talk about. And we'll be back next week.
I bet my life I'm a dice shaker. Electric lights on a skyscraper.